Hi guys, what's up? LJS here, back with another deck profile. This time I'll be doing Prominence Core. I'm kidding again. It's Alfred, Monarch Century Alfred, which is this big guy here. See, mini him, big him, yay. And yes, so this is the new Alfred version from set 15. And it adds you a new dimension to, well, sort of new dimension. It's not really new dimension, it's sort of same thing, top decking, but in a more extreme case. So this deck, he has supports. He's very heavily, he sort of relies on Blaster Blade, Liberator, the protagonist that you all know and love. And we have support cards to help support Blaster Blade, which is Starry Trumpeter and the Paladin, as well as the starter, which is Arum. And you have power uppers, Overcast, Liberator, and Bruno. So, for those of you who don't know, Go Paladin focuses mainly on top deck calling. So they get free calls from the top of the deck, and they power up from all kinds of combos and stuff. And yeah, that's Alfred. No, that is the Go Paladin playstyle. And with the basic idea out of the way, let's go to the deck profile. So, for starters, my friend runs Yearning Liberator Arum. So, his skill is pretty interesting skill. Put this unit into your soul. If you have a grade 3 or greater Go Paladin Vanguard, you may pay search your deck for up to one card named Blaster Blade Liberator. Reveal it to your opponent and shuffle your deck and put it on top of your deck. So what it does is you can put a Blaster Blade Liberator on top of the deck. So he helps set up Blaster Blade Liberator on top of the deck, which is, well, it's very useful for combos that will be done, which I'll talk about later. So, for grade 3s, he runs 3 Monarch Century Alfred. Yes, only 3, not 4, because you don't really need him that much early game. You only need him late game. So he has quite a lot of skills. First skill is Limit Break 5, or some may call it Ultimate Break. When your Blaster Blade Liberator is placed on R from your deck, this unit gets 10k and 1 crit until end of turn, which is a pretty strange skill because it's a super late game skill, and getting 1 crit late game is not really useful unless you are pushing for a game and you have wear your opponent out enough and you just push for game. So this is useful only really late game, unless if you have pushed your opponent enough, then it's useful. But if your opponent has like perfect guards and all that, it's wasted. Next skill, Limit Break 4. Counter Blast 3 and Soul Blast 2. Put all of your rear guards that are locked and lock card on top of the deck. And then in any order, then you look at up to 5 cards from top of the deck. Search for up to 5 cards with Liberator in its card name and call them to open separate R's. Then you put the rest at the bottom of the deck. This skill can only be used once a turn. And next skill continues, he gets 1k for every rear guard on the field, which means you'll be a constant 16k if you have a full field. His Limit Break 4 skill is a very interesting skill because it's number 1, it's an unlocker. Number 2, it's a free caller. So let's just say you have 3 cards on your field, locked or unlocked. You put them all back top of the deck, call out 5. So essentially you gain a +2. Let's just say your field is empty. His skill is a +5, which is super good. Counter Blast 3 and Soul Blast 2, which is +5. But let's just say you have 5 lock cards and Omega Glendios is about to use World End. This will save your life. Counter Blast 3 and Soul Blast 3, unlock all 5, and your opponent who's playing Omega Glendios can just cry and eat his heart out. So this is a bad matchup against Omega Glendios. Anyways, yeah, so essentially he helps you get good free calls and stuff. But it's a very heavy Counter Blast 3, but there are ways to circumvent it, which I will explain later. Next, for grade 3s, he runs 2 Zenith. Yes, 2 Zenith. Zenith is a very good card from set 14, and it's actually very useful to have him in here as a later tech. Sort of mid-game tech, before you finish off with Monarch Century. So for those who don't know, his skill is a special Counter Blast 1, and when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can put a grade 2 or less rear guard at the bottom of the deck, and then you can top call a Go Paladin, and that guy gets 10k. So basically, you top call, you take a look at the top card of the deck, call it 2 and open R, and that guy gets 10k, and put the rest at the bottom of the deck, if you don't call anything else. So this guy is, as I mentioned in the previous video of Zenith deck build, he helps you attack with 4 attacks per turn. And the thing is, even though you're top decking, gaining 10k really helps you actually hit something. For example, if you get a trigger, he's 5k base. But if he gets 10k, he's a 15k attacker. He can still hit Vanguard or Regards. But the main reason around him is for his next skill. He is a cross-right. So if you have the Ganslot in your soul, he gains 2k. So he is useful for early mid-game 13k base defense to save your hand, and you finish off with Monarch Sentry. Although you can use this skill maybe 2 times at maximum, because you need at least 3 combos for him. So you can probably use his skill twice for 2 turns, and you have that 2 turns to push for 4 attacks. Where you open out with him, get good defense with him, then you finish off with Alfred. Okay guys, sorry about that, we are back. I ran out of battery. So yeah, anyways, next card he runs is 3 Gancelot, the Break Ride. So for those of you who don't know his skill is when a Gold Paladin rides his unit, choose a Vanguard, and that guy gets 10k, and choose up to 3 Rearguards and they get 5k each. So the thing is, this guy is in here not really for the Break Ride. You can use the Break Ride skill, which is useful for pushing, but he's here mainly as a cross-ride base for Zenith. So what you do is early game ride Gancelot, and then even if you do not have 4 damage, ride Zenith if you have Zenith, just to get the cross-ride defense off. So you save your hand. Then when you reach limit break 4, you can use his skill once or twice to push the opponent, and finally you ride Alfred to push for game with his ultimate break and or limit break 4 skill to get a nice full feel, and you can combo with other cards that help you gain power, which I'll explain later. But of course, you know, this is the ideal case, and ideal cases don't always happen, so yeah. Ideally, you want this to happen. Next, for grade 2s, he runs 4 Blaster Blade Liberators. Those who don't know his skill is when he's called to Rearguard or Vanguard, you can come last 2. If you do, you can retire an opponent's Rearguard in the front row. So he helps you snipe front row attackers, which is decent, but Counter Blast 2 is kinda heavy. So you typically do not use his skill at all, unless you can combo with a card I'll mention later. Next, he runs 3 Liberator Star Rain Trumpeter. This guy is a support for Blaster Blade Liberator. So her skill is choose a card named Blaster Blade Liberator from your soul or in the drop zone and put it at the top of the deck. When this unit is placed on R, if you have a Gold Paladin Vanguard, you may pay the cost. Okay, I call this a apostrophe cost. If you do, shuffle your deck, look at the top card of the deck, and search for up to 1 Gold Paladin from among them and call it to open R, and put the rest bottom of the deck. So the reason I say it's a cost is because you put Blaster Blade Liberator back into the deck, and it's super easy to achieve because once you call him out, you can just intercept and he dies, and then you can just use her skill to put him back into the deck to call a unit for free. So this guy is very useful for early game to get, you know, free calls and to recycle your Blaster Blade Liberators so that you can hopefully achieve his ultimate break. And it's a very extremely cheap cost, which is so easy to do. So next, my friend runs 3 Overcast Liberator Geraint. So his skill is that whenever a Gold Paladin whenever a Gold Paladin is placed on your rearguard circle from the deck, if you have a Vanguard with Liberator in his card name, this guy gets 3k. So, and as I mentioned in my previous video, it stacks. So whenever you call a top deck, whenever you call something from the deck, he gains 3k. And imagine this, with Alfred Liberator skill, you can call 5 from your deck, and excluding him is 4. So he gains 12k from his skill alone. So if you use his skill, call him out, and call 4 other rearguards, he gets 12k, and he's a 21k attacker for this turn itself. And if you have a Bruno behind, which I'll explain later, same skill as him, this column is a very, very powerful column. So that's why Alfred's skill is mainly used for your final turn push, or at least, you know, pre-final turn push to wear your opponent out really much. So for grade 1s, he runs 4 of this white rainbow liberator, Paladin. So his skill is from rear guard. Okay, he's a rear guard skill. When your Blaster Blade Liberator is placed on the rear guard circle, if you have a Vanguard with a Liberator in its card name, choose a card from the damage zone and turn it face up. So basically, he's an Flipper. So he's sort of a Doreen clone, although he is far superior to Doreen in a sense that, you know, there's no restriction that Blaster Blade Liberator has to be in the same column. Doreen, she needs your Blaster Blade Liberator to be in the same column, but for him, wherever your Blaster Blade Liberator is, the skill activates. So let's just say you have let's just say you have 3 of him on the field, and then you call a Blaster Blade Liberator out. All your skill activates and you unflip 3. You unflip 3 cards. And this, as some of you who are sharp may notice, this combos very well with Alfred's skill. Cannon Blast 3, call him out, flip 3. You can use his skill again next turn. Yeah, pretty imba. Although the reason why his skill is so good, you can unflip wherever Blaster Blade Liberator is called, is that World Paladin himself is not exactly as consistent in getting units out onto the field, so you have to sort of, based on luck, draw him. Unlike Doreen, you can use Tower 2, you can use the Break Ride, you can use all kinds of methods to call Doreen out, which is so much easy to set up. This one depends on your draw luck, so yeah. Next, he runs 4 May Rain Liberator Bruno. This guy has the same skill as this guy. So basically, whenever you call a Liberator from the deck, and you have a whenever you call a Gold Paladin from the deck and you have a Liberator Vanguard, he gains 3k. So these 2 in one column is devastating on Alfred's turn. You just call 3 more units. This guy gets 12k, this guy gets 9k. So this column is going to be 9 plus 12, 21. 21 plus 16 is 37. Yeah, the 37k column just by itself when you have pull off Alfred's skill. But most of the time, ideally, you want to actually have him out instead of him, because you want to unflip and use Alfred's skill again. You want to spam Alfred's skill. And finally, not yet. Next, for grade 1, he runs 3 Perfect Guard and 1 Quintet Wall. Quintet Wall, well, 1 because it's take Counter Blast, which is, this deck is very Counter Blast heavy, as you may have noticed. 3 Counter Blast. So you don't really want to use her unless it's absolutely necessary. Although Perfect Guard is still very useful. Next, finally, he runs 3 Physical Force Liberator Zoran. His skill is quite interesting. Basically, when this unit is placed on R from the deck, if you have a Gold Paladin Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is put him in the soul. If you do look at the 3 cards from the top of the deck, search for up to 1 card with Liberator in this card name, and call it to R. Oh, see, as you see, there's a typo here, a little typo. Yeah, from among them, call it to R. The symbol has been shifted for some reason. Anyways, and put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. So he allows you to have a second chance in calling something out from the deck, which also means a second chance to power up him or him. Furthermore, he goes into the soul, which helps fuel soul for Monarch Sentry Alfred, because Monarch Sentry Alfred takes 2 soul blasts. So you use him to fuel soul. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the reason why we want to write Ganslot and then Zenith and then Alfred is so that, you know, you have 2 more extra souls to soul blast for Alfred's skill. Although even though it sort of, you know, minus cards from your hand, but hopefully you can save cards from his cross-side defense. So it sort of, you know, works in a way to defend. Yeah, it works in that way to help you spam Alfred's skill. So some other options you guys can have for a deck for grade 1 would be your Gold Lancer. He helps you he helps you guarantee a Ganslot in your hand. Basically, his skill is when you call him, you can discard a grade 3, search your deck for Liberator Ganslot, and then shuffle your deck. So basically, he swaps any grade 3 for a Break Ride. Although, he is not exactly that useful in his deck because, in general, you won't use a Break Ride skill anyways. because you want to go this, and this as early as possible to build up soul and to use cross-site defense. The other option you can run is Josephus. Basically, his skill is when he is called from the deck, and you have a Liberator Vanguard. You can a special Soul Blast a Liberator, and you can draw a card. So he helps you draw cards. And let's say you combo him with Alfred, Monarch Sentry, and let's say you call 3 out, use Monarch skill, put 3 back in your deck, call 3 out, you have a potential chance of drawing 3 cards. However, the downside of it is that he needs Soul Blast, and he'll be fighting with Alfred for Soul. So generally you don't really want him because Soul, you need Soul for Alfred. And for trigger lineup, you run a typical 8 crits, 4 draws, and 4 heals. You can probably switch up the trigger to have, let's say, 6 draws, because you actually really want to draw into key cards such as this guy to help you unflip damage to spam your Monarch Sentry skill. So yeah, so this is the deck profile, my friend. Some of the combos right now I'll show you some of the combos that you can do with this deck. And now we're back. So this is sort of an ideal field setup for your final turn push. Early game, you probably use Zenith skill, and maybe your field might be empty or not. Then when the turn you write Monarch, you want this field, which is the ideal field to have. Use his skill, put all 5 back in the deck, and then, counterblast 3. Yeah, counterblast 3. And let's say you have 5 damage. Okay? Then you call them out one by one. First thing you do is to call this guy. Next, call your Unflippers, and finally call Blasted Blade Liberator. Now, his skill triggers 4 times. He is now a 21k attacker. Their skill all trigger because Blasted Blade came out last. Unflip 3 damage. And you can use Alfred's skill again next turn. Amazing! And Alfred's skill also triggers because he has 5 damage. He gets now extra 10k and a crit. So this column will be swinging for 28k by itself. This column is 16, which is 16, oh well. This is 28k as well. Sorry, no, this is 28k as well for 2 crits. 28k. Oh, and also he gains another 1k for every rear guard. So he's actually a 33k 2 crit for this turn. And yes, I forgot his second skill. 33k. Powerful. Finally, you have a 21k column. So this is a very powerful sort of push. But let's say your opponent survives. Next turn, ideally you want to have, for your second round, ideally you want to have this. Because counterblast 3, put them back, call this guy out, call, and call. And they all power up. As you know, you probably want to do it this way. Call, and call. Yeah, there you go. So this is 21k. This guy is 7 plus 9, 16k. This is now 7 plus 6, which is 13k, and this is now 10k. Wow. So this will be 9 plus 16, which is 24k column. This is 21 plus 13, which is 34k column. Wow. And this is going to be 20, 31, 36k column. And your opponent is with 2 crit. So as you can see, your final turn push will be something like that. First, you have your Unflippers to unflip and use Alfred's skill again next turn. Then next you would want to have Bruno, ideally, to have Power Push, which your opponent is unlikely to survive the second time, unless they are Bermuda Triangle with giant hand size, or other clan that has giant hand size. But yeah, this is very devastating. Also, some tips for this this deck. Let's just say this happens. You write a great one, you write Blasted Blade Liberator, and you use his skill, and you write Gancelot and Zenith. As you can see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 souls, and you can use his skill twice, because his skill takes 2 souls per turn. And let's just say somehow you use Zoron's skill, you put him in soul as well. So now you have 6 souls. You can use his skill 3 times. Now as you can see, Blasted Blade Liberator is in the soul, but ideally you don't want to use Champion skill to blast him out from the soul, because soul, as you guys know, is a resource, and you want to have as much soul as possible to fuel him, and potentially, if you run Josephus, fuel Josephus. So what you want to do is you want to save. If you don't have a Blast Liberator in a drop zone, you want to soul blast him out first, and then use health skill to shove Blast Liberator back into the deck and top call something else out. So in that sense, you have used Blast Liberator twice. You have used him. He feels used. Anyways, yes, you have used him as an object, as a resource. So yeah, so this is the Monarch Sentry Alfred's deck profile. It is a pretty straightforward build. Early game, we just, try to get this and get cross right, sit at a nice 13k base defense, use Zenith skill once or twice to get multiple attacks to sort of weigh your opponent down, and then you finish off with Monarch Sentry, boom, and you hopefully you can pull off the combo, and you can do his skill twice, and you'll be whacking your opponent with huge ass numbers of 30 plus k for 2 turns, and he will be 2 crit for 2 turns. And even if you can't kill your opponent in those 2 turns, his hand will be really small, and he'll be whacking for 16k consistently after that, if you can't use his skill anymore. So yeah, this deck has can suffer a bit from consistency, because a lot of things relies on having combos such as this 2 and this 2 and this 2. So Blast Liberator is really key. That is why you run the starter. He helps you guarantee in getting a Blast Liberator on top of your deck, and you probably draw into him or top deck him. So that way you can guarantee having a Blast Liberator to pull combos off. So yeah, this has been my friend's Monarch Sentry Alfred, and I hope you guys like it. If you do, thumbs up. Any comments or any other suggestions or anything you want to add to this potential deck build, write down in the comments below. If you like my video so far, please subscribe. And this has been LJS. Thanks for watching, and also sorry for my coughing. I haven't been feeling too well these few days. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time.